that the grandparents are going, yeah, I grew up to this. I love
Okay.
this. Like for more local, they're looking for Hawaiian music, which is more Jamaican, Hawaiian, reggae. And most of the time, a gift from a bride is a gift of dance. It's a gift of hula.
Well, thanks for tuning in on another Thursday or whatever day of the week it is after this particular show launched. It is for you. Thanks for being here. I'm really excited about my next guest here on Mobile Music Thursday. He comes all the way from Hawaii, which is really far away if you don't live there. A beautiful island in the tropics. David Lewis. He's always the envy of all of us DJs in Minnesota while he's like, hey, it's 72 and gorgeous here. So it's really exciting to talk about music and talk about oftentimes we get asked to do events that are like, hey, we want to do a Hawaiian luau, or we want to do a luau kind of thing. And where do you begin with that? Do you just go and find a tiki CD and throw it on and call it good? I bet there's more to it than that. And we're going to find out all about that and more from guest David Lewis of Dynamic Sounds, a very successful performer and owner on the Big Island of Hawaii. Is that correct? Big Island of Hawaii, right?
We're actually on Oahu.
On Oahu, the better island of Oahu, actually, amongst the chain. Was that a good cover?
There's less lava, yeah.
right. Lava. Yeah, lava's not so. Yeah, in terms of things and having in the neighborhood, lava probably brings the property value down.
A little bit, yeah. But we're like the only area in the United States that's we're getting new land all the time. So.
Right, that's right. There's always it's a gold mine for real estate agents, right? Like, hey, guess what? And then who decides who gets that land?
Nobody till it cools it off.
Oh, I see. There's no shoreline fights or anything like that yet.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay. Well, let's talk about music. You've been DJing for years and years and years, and working the islands, and a big place for destination weddings. I mean, everybody loves to go to Hawaii to have a destination wedding. So let's first talk about island music. And if somebody here or anywhere is looking to do something that's luau oriented, or like a Hawaiian party, like they would be Hawaiian themed, that'd be popular here in Minnesota in the wintertime. Where would a person start, and what would you want to look for in music to really create a great experience that way?
You want to contact any of your Hawaiian friends, first of all, to see what's
Check.
happening out there. It depends on what it is and what they're looking for. It depends on if it's more local Hawaiian families, or if it's more of the Asian Hawaiian families. There's so many different ways to look at things. You have, for more local, they're looking for Hawaiian music, which is more Jamaican, Hawaiian, reggae feel to it. And basically it's groups like The Green, Catch a Fire, Natural Vibrations, J-Boog, 3+. There's a bunch of different, groups that are out here that are great that most people don't know about.
Wow.
But it's called Hawaiian music. If you look up Hawaiian music, you'll find it, and most of it has a reggae feel. Another thing out here in Hawaii is we have a lot of remakes. I remember when Jason came out with "I'm Yours." Just a few months later, we had a version from 10 Feet, a Hawaiian version, which sounded similar, but more with a little reggae feel to it, more of a reggae feel.
Very cool.
Yeah, so Hawaiian music's really popular. It's starting to grow in other parts of the world. But, these guys actually tour around and go to different parts of the world. And so the Hawaiian is very popular here. Right?
So is that something that originated in Hawaii? Like kind of bringing those two genres together into its own thing?
I'm not sure, but I believe so. Right? I would say probably yes, but I'm not sure exactly how it came about.
And then,
because in New Zealand and Australia, you get quite a few groups that are doing it as well. So.
Okay, it's spreading. So about pinpointing like where it came from sometimes isn't so easy, but really popular there. Now, when you say it's popular, is that more popular among the locals, or is that something that also when people come to do destination weddings and things like that they ask for or comment on?
When we have a destination wedding and they're saying, well, we want local music, we want some sort of Hawaiian music there, a lot of times what we'll do is we'll suggest that they play some of the remakes, that this way their guests feel the Hawaiian feel, but they know the songs, which is pretty cool. So, And so, yeah, I think it's popular because I think everybody who comes to Hawaii, they're looking for more of a laid back, comfortable type of wedding.
Sure.
Yeah, they're not the huge productions all the time. And
Mm-hmm.
so, it's usually either a bride that moved away for college or a groom that moved away for college, met somebody and came back to get married,
Yeah.
or or it's just somebody who visited here and vacationed here and then decided, well, my friends live in Japan, my parents live in Georgia. Let's kind of just bring it together here,
Right. Meet
and
in the middle.
yeah, and those couples have usually already felt the music on the radio here, and so they come back and they take it with them and they listen to the music, or they grab the radio stations from here
Mm-hmm.
and listen to it on the internet, and then they come back and then they're just like, oh, we want that, we want these groups there, we want this kind of feel. So
Sure. So they're
yeah,
asking you for not just like, hey, we want to have nice weather in this nice island, but they want to have the part of the experience of having their wedding ceremony and celebration in Hawaii is to feel like we are having a Hawaiian experience.
sure. And a lot of the brides, when they come in here to walk down the aisle, they're usually looking for, what a wonderful world, somewhere over the rainbow, right? Bretta is, and so we have like different versions and cuts of that, where he's just humming and playing the ukulele, and
Mm-hmm.
for as she's walking down. So I mean, they're very popular, and everybody knows that song now because it's all over the movies and all over the world.
Right.
But so they're looking for things like that. So, but you have Hawaiian music, you have slack key guitar, which is it's just more of our instrumental type of jazzy Hawaiian music. It's
Okay.
not up
Is this what would be in the background? Or do we freeze up?
upbeat.
Apologize for any technical issues as we're broadcasting all the way from Hawaii over FaceTime, and so things are getting a
Yeah.
little jerky. You froze up just for a moment, but it was a great pose you had. You were smiling and happy, so you looked really good, David. What was it you were saying about this style of music with which is the jazz more background?
Yeah, sometimes you see it for cocktail hour at an event, or sometimes you see it during dinner. So they might go with more contemporary Hawaiian or Hawaiian music for like a medium paced cocktail hour, and then they might slow it down for dinner into a slack key
Oh, the slack
type
key,
of
yeah.
guitar. So it's really nice. So when somebody says we want Hawaiian music, we definitely have to get in there and say, tell me what you're thinking, because then there's old Hawaiian music where you'll see it more at the luau's. You'll see more of the Gabi Pahinuis, the Sunday Manoa, Keola Beamers and stuff like that. You'll see those types of artists that the grandparents are going, yeah, I grew up to this. I love
Okay.
this. And so you're looking at the age groups that are coming, and you're looking at what they're doing. I can tell you, it's really rare that anybody asks us for a don ho.
I was going to say
Right?
tiny
It's just,
bubbles, no tiny bubbles.
yeah. Every once in a while on a destination thing, we might see that, but the locals here, even though a lot of people like don ho, it's just he's more of their Vegas show guy.
Right, like kind of the
Here,
ambassador of Hawaii, really.
yeah. So we don't see that as much, and then you have the hula halaus that will come in and play hula
Mm-hmm.
music. You'll see that at receptions as well when they're performing and doing things. I think one of the things that you see here in Hawaii that you probably don't see anywhere else in the world is the brides and grooms give gifts to each other, right?
Oh,
And most of the time, a gift from a bride is a gift of dance. It's a gift of hula, and it's probably, if you ever have a chance to experience, it's probably one of the most beautiful moments at a wedding, at a local Hawaiian wedding. I always tell my brides, because most of them are nervous,
mm-hmm.
and I'll tell them, you know what, you can't go wrong. You cannot do wrong by getting out there and doing this dance. And so it's very popular here. You'll see that at most Hawaiian weddings here.
So how does that get set up, and then what does it look like when they're doing it? Especially if someone, so you recommend this to someone who isn't necessarily local to offer the gift of hula to her husband and then go out and dance for him in a particular style. Do you show her the moves, or how is that all facilitated when you've got someone coming in from the outside?
Yeah, you don't want to see me do any of those moves.
Oh, you thought I was leading to that, did you?
Normally, we're not sharing that with the people that are coming from the outside.
Oh, you aren't. I misunderstood then.
Yeah, but sometimes they will. Sometimes they will say, "Hey, we hear it's a popular tradition to do this," and then at that point, we would turn them over to a dance instructor, or usually it's their friend who is local here
Okay.
that will teach them. Yeah,
Sure.
or sometimes videos and things like that. But it's a really nice touch to the weddings.
So and how do you set that up like any spotlight dance then?
I usually like to do it, yeah, pretty much, but I like to do it right before, like right after dinner, before we move right into the speeches and toasts. We usually do speeches and toasts after dinner. So it's a nice way to bring everybody back to, okay, we've been busy talking and having a great time. Now let's focus on this, and then move them right into the speeches. So I can grab everybody's attention. And this way, if the wedding party is away from their seats, I let them know when the bride shares her dance, that's the time to make your way back. So this way I'm not looking for them and trying to find them. So
Sure. So it's its own event, its own moment. It doesn't get piggybacked onto any other spotlight dances or anything else, so it has its own moment to breathe.
yeah, and it depends on the situation. Sometimes they may be doing a first dance, and sometimes I'll have the bride to where she'll do her hula, and usually at the end of the hula, they'll reach out for their groom, or maybe place a lei over them, and at that point, sometimes I'll have her pick them up and then go right into their first dance.
Oh, sure. So it just kind of depends on the situation and the client, as always.
Yes.
So music-wise, like once you get into the actual just the dancing for the night, is there definitely like local flavors that have to be mixed in to the popular dance scene amongst the typical 26-year-old is the average age for a female to get engaged and get married. Is that still something that's really strong that you have to be mindful of and aware of as you put your mix together?
No, not as much. I mean, it just really depends. I mean, when we go through music with our clients, it's really what they're looking for. So one of the things we always tell them is come up with your list of songs that you guys really love and the songs that you really just don't want there, right? You do not playlist. And then let us take requests from your guests during cocktail hour. So we'll do that, and we'll get requests from them as well, because sometimes we'll have that bride that will say, oh, my guests are going to send something in on their saved date 6 months before, and I'm like, but nobody's going to want to hear those songs in 6 months, right?
right.
So can we just do it there during cocktail hour? It'll give everybody something to do, and so we'll grab some requests there. So now I have requests for what the guests want to dance to right there, and then I have the request that the bride and groom wants, and then I just tell her, let us fill in the rest, to kind of bring everything together and wrap it all together. And they're like, great, that's a great idea. So now they're not thinking that they have to come up with every song. And now it allows the guests, who are very important that day too, to be able to request something that they want to hear. It's very important here in Hawaii, I think, to take the requests, because we have weddings from all over the world, right? I'm constantly calling people. I remember calling friends in Australia and New Zealand when I got a New Zealand or Australian bride, going, "What's working over there right now? Or what are you playing?" So this way, I could surprise them with, by buying the music and having it there.
Yeah.
And freaking them out, like, how'd you know? And so it's
I'm
really
connected.
Yeah, if I have people from the East Coast that are coming in, I'm checking with DJs on the East Coast. Hey, what are you playing right now? What are you guys doing? And I always tell them, because I don't know if I get a bride and group from Texas, I'm listening to the radio stations here in Hawaii. I don't know what they're playing in Texas. So we rely pretty heavy on getting requests and being able to take care of that,
Sure. So you can be tuned into the audience that's coming from, because you've got to be, you don't just have to be familiar with a particular region like I do here in Minnesota. Most of the dances, the music is pretty much very similar with some slight differences. You've got a lot of bigger differences. Tell me a little bit about, like, how is it that you manage to, you're in Hawaii. How is it that you manage to make friends with DJs and performers all over the world?
Just by going through conventions, going out to conventions like Mobile Beat and, even Armed DJs and things like that. Just any convention, even the cruise ship ones, with the wedding professional cruises.
Yeah, you just did one of those.
Yeah, and it was great. I had a great time, and I'm planning on going next year in November as well.
Awesome. It looks more and more attractive to me all the time, like sitting on the deck, like, like everything's served to me. It's like the only thing to make it better if they could put me in a wheelchair and just like wheel me into the conferences.
They can do that, actually.
I'm set. This is so great.
You just have to talk to Debbie McKenzie will set that up for you.
That's great. I'm gonna get on the phone right now. We gotta cut this short. So now tell me about so what music do you? How do you kind of approach I know you said you take a lot of requests, but then like, what is your game plan, or the DJs that you train and have in your company? Kind of what game plan do you want them to follow? Kind of going in terms of like how you're going to approach music. Are you like, would you like to you try to start with like the top 40, get the young people going, or do you have a different approach for every event? What's the general game plan?
Well, it depends on who's on basically who hires us. So I can tell you this. When I worked in California before years ago, and when I worked there, people wanted to get through dinner, they wanted to party and dance and have a great time.
Mm-hmm.
Right? When you go to the East Coast, it's even more. They wanted to dance. They wanted to dance and have dinner in between the dancing. Right?
Right. Up and down, up and down.
Yeah, that's what I hear. Here in Hawaii, the dancing is only the last hour and a half or 2 hours of the event.
Oh wow!
So they take care of everything, the program and everything. Turn it over to the first dance, and then they go into the dance basically. And it is more of a food function here than it is a dance. And so you might have, and it has a lot to do with the way they do their money dance and everything else. In their money dance here, they don't do a money dance where you dance with the bride and groom. They actually dance together, and you it's really crazy, but they'll take money and they'll roll it up and they'll place it on the groom's ear, and then the bride has to take it with her mouth and has to spit it into a basket.
Oh my gosh.
And then they'll put money on the bride somewhere. The groom has to take it and spit it into a basket that the bridesmaids are holding.
Wow.
But because they're together, the guests actually come up and they'll do that, and then they'll hug them and say goodbye.
Oh wow.
So it's almost like a reverse receiving line, right? And so because of that, you might have 150 guests at the wedding in the beginning, and after that money dance, which starts off the dancing, the first dance is basically cut off and turns right into that money dance after about 35, 40 seconds, right? So they don't really get to enjoy their first dance. And this is the traditional way. We've been changing a lot of things on the island here.
Okay.
But I mean, you might have 150 guests, and then next thing you know, you have 50 or 60 guests at the end of that money dance.
Wow.
Because everybody's leaving, right?
Right.
So it depends on if they're coming from the mainland, or if they have a lot of mainland guests, then they're going to party and they're going to dance. So we're going to approach things a little differently.
Sure,
right?
they're gonna expect to do what they do at home, only in Hawaii.
Yeah, on the local ones, on the local weddings, we are really looking to see who's left at that point. You see what I'm saying? Because if the older folks are leaving, then we're going to jump right into the newer stuff.
Sure, right. Appeal to immediately who's there left to stay and have a good time for that last hour.
Yeah, an hour and a half. And it's not always like this. We've been changing things on the island and getting people to stick around and have fun. But originally when we came here, that's what it was like, pretty much. And so DJs were actually only hired for the last part.
Sure.
Because they had their friend emceed, right? Their friends would be the band that would take care of dinner and cocktail music. And then the DJ was actually only needed for the end.
Wow,
right?
fascinating.
So that as well. So, but as far as the approach, like I said, if they're from a different location, like I said, we're just mixing it up. If there's older folks there, we're trying to play more of the standards that everybody knows, adding in some of the new things so that the younger folks know, hey, we have it, and then we're going to come to that in just a little bit. But we're just trying to play stuff that everybody knows and can dance to get everybody up. And then we move into the younger stuff as we progress.
Really sticking with the familiarity. Okay, now it's so fascinating how different things really are. I mean, there's certain elements people eat at weddings. They enjoy music, they socialize, and then like formatting and traditions like are so different, even around just even across the United States. Let alone like other countries.
Well, that's why I cover a lot of that in the Timeline workshop. Stuff. So, the DVDs and the class that I teach. So I cover the different areas.
And that's available. That's available online if somebody wants to, because you made that available for other DJs to actually be able to offer, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. In fact, there's a ton of DJs doing it now. So they can actually go to groomsworkshop.com.
Is it still available if DJs are interested?
Yeah, it is.
Awesome. So. Fantastic. Well, I've got 2 questions for you that I like to ask every DJ that I have on the show. Okay? And these are more personal than they are what you do for clients. So what is one song that you really love that you wish everyone loved to dance to? And I know I'm putting you on the spot for a little bit so you can think just for a moment. Like the one song you really love that you wish everybody loved to dance to, but they don't.
Well, I think a lot of people are, that they don't dance to.
Yeah,
You may
it's like
hear it
you
in
really
Hawaii.
dig the song and wish that it'd be more popular, that people would be like, oh, we love to dance to the song.
Well, I can tell you this: "Love Never Felt So Good" by Michael Jackson. I hope it keeps going. It's not that it's not that people don't dance to it, but I just hope that it keeps going because it's my favorite song that came out this year.
Okay.
Um,
That
yeah,
it,
as
that it
far as there's
holds. It
another
doesn't
song,
just burn and go away.
yeah, and there's another song that it's by Los Lobos, and it's called "I Got Loaded,"
Oh,
right? And
wow.
I don't think very many people know about it,
Yeah,
but
I certainly
it's a
don't. I'll
real,
have to check that out.
yeah, it's a good song, and it's a real fast paced song. It's a good dance song. It's just that nobody really knows about it. Oh, one
Right.
more thing I can
What?
in Hawaii here, there's a group called Imua, right? Imua is the band, and there's a song called "Hero to Me," and "Hero to Me" is a great song for mother son dance.
Oh, cool. Awesome. We'll have to check that
Yeah,
out.
so check that one.
Yeah,
That's
that's
a good
another really
song.
good one to check out. Okay, so last question, ready? So, what is the one song that's really popular, everybody always wants to hear it, that you wish would just go away?
Honestly, I don't have that, and it's because I I look at I want to play anything that's going to make them happy,
Right. So,
and so
so it
people are
doesn't
happy.
matter.
I have yeah.
You could be playing the cats
It
the
does
cats Casio Christmas special.
if that's what they're looking for. That's what I want to. I want to be able to take care. So
That's
yeah, I don't really have a song like.
That's great. David, thanks so much for taking the time to spend some time with us to share about Hawaiian culture and music and how things work there and how different they are there. Really insightful for anybody who's going to do a Hawaiian themed event, as well as a lot of really great resources to look into, including the Grooms Workshop and the Timeline Workshop, which is really gold for any DJ who's willing to make the effort, and a real gift to the industry. It's been a pleasure just knowing you for as long as I have, and I'm really appreciative that you came on the show and shared with everybody.
Well, thank you, Jason. It's been great being a part of this.
Yeah. That's it for this Mobile Music Thursday. We'll see you next week.
Aloha.